Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of Magic Analytics. How y'all doing today? Hope y'all are having a good time. Today, we're jumping back into my Pantlaza deck, which features everyone's most hated and despised uh, keyword ability, banding. That's right. We're gonna do a little deep dive on the whole banding. Then I'm gonna try and then I'm gonna do some analytical research and some deck teching, so that way I can improve upon it. Last time y'all saw Pantlaza. Um, Pantlaza. I didn't have much. Didn't have a lot of banding cards, and I was able to get my hands on more banding cards. Very interesting banding cards, and I was able to find a way to squeeze them in along with the enraging dinosaurs, which I also found a couple of more. So that way I could be able to have banding trigger those effects without having to worry about my opponent taking, deciding the fate of my enraging dinosaurs. Sadly enough, a lot of cool dinosaurs got pushed aside for enraging dinosaurs, but I did the best I can to put the best one to keep the best non-enraging dinosaurs in there, and I was also able to flesh out the end cores. So you'll be seeing some of these interesting cards that I slotted in, and we're gonna update the analytics and figure out what more I can do to improve upon it and make it even more annoying. So, first and foremost, I want to first thing we're gonna do is deep dive into banding. So, what is banding? Is the big question. Banding is Richard Garfield's baby. Basically, it was something that Richard Garfield created back in Alpha, and the whole entire thing is more of a thematic ability. It gives more immersion for players, and basically, what it does is that it's supposed to have creatures team up and gang up. However, as time went on with the rules and the update and everything, banding started. People started questioning, if banding was even needed in the long run. Mark Rosewater, when he took over, him and his team tried to improve on Richard Garfield's wording, trying to clarify it, make it more cleaner, and they couldn't do it, so they bumped it out and basically stopped producing more cards with banding after the Weatherlight Saga. As for me, I came in the fifth edition at the tail end of fifth edition. Sixth edition was just around the corner with more structured and fleshed out rules of the game. But banding was still prevalent, and I found myself ending up with banding cards whenever I bought packs, fifth edition and Tempest and so on. But I never paid no mind to banding. I didn't really care. Most people, whenever I asked, didn't understand it either. So I didn't really care much about it until Commander happened, and I saw banding, and I discovered. Ixalan was my first. Lost Caverns of Ixalan was my first foray into Ixalan after a 13-year absence, and I found out about enraging, and then I put two and two together. And I was like, oh, if I band with enraging creatures, I can get the effects of enraging creatures without putting it in the hands of my opponent. Without putting the damage in the hands of my opponent. And because enrage is not exactly a spectacular effect. That too is gone. It didn't even return in Ixalan, Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So what enraging does is dinosaurs, whenever they take at least one damage, their effects kick in, and you could do stuff with it. The problem is that the problem with enrage is that damage is very fluctuating, because you'll never get to be able to pull off an enrage effect if your dinosaur gets lethal damage and dies. and you can't control your opponent's damage assignment, and you can only control your own damage and damage assignment, on your end. So it's so for the most part, enraging would be more beneficial on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, it's kind of useless unless you play banding. If you play banding, well, you get to be able to activate your enrage. So let's give a summary. Let me give you the short end of banding. The objective. The objective of banding is to wrest control of your opponent's damage assignment onto you. Basically, instead of your opponent assigning damage to your creatures, you, the controller of banding, get to assign your opponent's damage instead. So it's an extraordinarily powerful ability because you're taking an entire gameplay away from your opponent. And unfortunately, what as awesome as that effect is, the major drawback, is that you have to form the band. And forming the band is not too difficult to do while on offense, and it's not too difficult to do while on defense. What makes it difficult is when banding interacts with other effects, trigger effects, and keyword abilities, and so on. So to give a perfect example, you have trample. Now, to form a band, you have to have at least one creature with the ability called band, and or you may have at most one creature without banding. Maximum of one. So you can have a minimum of one creature with band and a maximum creature of one without banding. And you can form the band. So what the combination is that you can have a band of one creature, which is a creature with banding, or you can have a band of 100 creatures that all have banding, or you can have a band of creatures that has one with banding and one without, or you can have two creatures with banding and one without. No matter what, the one without is your maximum limit. You can only have one without, but you don't have to have it in the band either. So you have all this combination of forming a band. Once you form a band, they don't share abilities whatsoever. They don't share damage or anything. They are still individual permanents with individual effects. And that's what makes it very difficult with the rules interaction, because they're not slivers. You're not getting the effect. It's not a sliver effect where all the slivers share their abilities. You're not getting that with banding. And once you form, and you have to form the band during the declare attackers or the declare blockers step, depending on what situation you're in. If you're on defense, then you gotta declare your bands during the declare blocker step. If you're on offense, you gotta declare during the declare attacker step. And you have to make it very clear who's in the band and who's not when attacking with creatures. So in every sense of the word, you can have two sets of creatures that are banded to two sets of bands. One creature with banding, one without, and two creatures with that both have banding, and they can attack, and they're two separate entities. They're two separate entities, and you can basically hit. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you the demonstration and everything. No, don't you worry. When it comes to defense, you don't form a set of bands. You just block with a creature that has banding, and if you create a team up, you can create a team up of as many non-banding creatures as you want. So you can have one creature with banding, and you can have 100 creatures without banding, all teaming up together to block. That's part of what makes it very confusing, because it's asymmetrical. It's an asymmetrical effect. There's nothing symmetrical about it. It's all asymmetrical between offense and defense. So that's what makes it very difficult for people to grasp and understand. But it's not that difficult to grasp or understand. It's really what happens when today, by today's standards, today's rules, banding is a little bit more fleshed out thanks to today's rules, especially with things like no damage on the stack, damage doesn't go on the stack, and things like that. What makes it very difficult is the rules interactions. Like what happens when trampling is involved, or what if it's flying or regeneration, death touch. There's a whole lot of rollings, and because there's so many keyword abilities, how does everything work? Basically. So once you have your bands formed on offense and you attack, if your opponent decides to block, um, they block all the creatures that are in the band. So basically, if you have, say, 3 creatures in the band, and you have a legal block, all 3 creatures are blocked. It doesn't matter what type of effects they have or anything. I'll get to that in a second. When it's defense, when your opponent attacks you on defense during the declare blocker step, if you have a creature with banding, a creature of one that has banding can block. But just as per the rules for blocking, you can block with as many creatures as you want, but you have to make sure you you don't you're not forming the band like you would in offense. You're just doing a normal block, but the creature with banding will allow you to redistribute, distribute the damage the way you want to damage, and that's very important with regards to trample. Very, very important with regards to the way damage goes. So, damage. This is the key feature here. When you're on offense, when you get blocked by your opponent, your attacking band, you now get to assign your opponent's damage amongst the creatures you control. So so if you have 2 creatures that are 2/2, they have 2 toughness, and your opponent blocks you with a bear that is a 2/2 creature. Your opponent doesn't get to decide that he could put the bear to damage one whole creature. He doesn't get to decide that. He doesn't get to decide to put 2 damage entirely on one creature. You get to decide that. So you take the 2 damage from the bear and you split it in half, 1 and 1, and you put it onto each of your 2/2 creatures. So now your creatures become 2/1. They survive, and the 2 damage that each creature is carrying for a total of 4 will lay it all on the bear, and the bear dies. The 2/2 bear dies, and your 2/2 creatures, both of them survive, but your opponent will have the block. Your opponent will still get the block, no matter what. But you got rid of the bear, and you still keep your creatures. So you got your board advantage. Basically, it helps you with board advantage. But because of the fact that your opponent doesn't get to decide where the damage goes, and you decided where your opponent's damage goes, that's a very, 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 very powerful effect. So on defense, when you decide to block against your attacking opponent, if you block with a band, you could just block with 1 banding creature. So let's say you got a 4/4 trampler, and you're blocking with a 1/1 creature with band. You can take all 4 of that damage because you get to assign the damage, not your opponent, and you can put all 4 damage on the 1/1 creature with banding. And because all that damage went to the 1/1 creature with banding, trample doesn't go through because there was no excess trample damage. There's no excess trample damage. So yeah, that's how powerful banding gets. Sure, you lost your creature, but you didn't take any damage. And if you know how to bring that creature back, and if you block with multiple creatures, yeah, you can really manipulate all that damage. So that's so verbally speaking, that's how banding works in terms of speaking it out. That's just me flexing. Now you're probably gonna want to see the demonstration. So let me bring up the view screen. Let's bring up the screen. Here we go. And I'm gonna show you how banding works in demonstration here. All right. So let's get the bands. Let's get our banding. I didn't reorganize my deck. Well, ain't that terrible of me. Let me find. No, find one. Let me grab. Which one do I want to use for the demonstration? Okay. I don't want to use him because he's got the first strike. I want to be extra careful here, not to put out a creature that's a little overwhelming. I should have grabbed the Benevolent Hero. Alright. No, that's good. Alright, that's fine. Here we go. We'll just do this one. Could have sworn I had Benevolent Hero on here. Oh, it's the infantry. That's who I actually have. Okay, wrong Benelish. But we'll go with the Tarenko Griffin because he's a 2/2 creature. All right, so here's your 2/2 creature. Okay, and let me grab this dinosaur here. I think I will go with. I just want to make sure I go with the dinosaur that doesn't have Enrage. Yeah, here we go. Regisaur Alpha. Alright, we'll go with these two. Okay, so here is these two. Okay, and let me grab over here. I'll make things a little easier. We'll do Furnace Spirit and let me go all the way over here. Wandering Ones. There we go. They're 1/1 creatures. All right. So there we go. Let's do that. All right. So let's start with offense here. Let's start with the offense. Okay. So I got 2 creatures here. Regisaur Alpha and Tarenko Griffin. Alright. Tarenko Griffin has banding and flying. Regisaur Alpha has other dinosaurs you control have haste. When Regisaur Alpha enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. So let's just say that's my 3/3 with trample. Okay, so now I have 3 creatures out, and thanks to its haste ability, this also has haste. So now I can actually, I can attack with these guys. All right. So the combinations, simple enough, is I can attack with Tarenko Griffin on its own. So I could declare that, and I can attack with these 2 separately, or I have my maximum 1 non-banding creature with my minimum 1 creature with banding, and I attack with the trampling token dinosaur separately, just like that. And that's it. That's 2 combinations. That's the 2 combinations that I got there. All right. So let's say I decided to attack with these 2. Okay. And I'm just gonna leave him out of the whole mix. So now we got a block. So I declare my attack. You know what I'm saying? I say this is my band. All right. And this one's just gonna sit at the side so I can have a blocker, my own personal blocker. So the band is formed, and here's what happens. Tarenko Griffin has flying in addition to banding, is a 2/2 creature. Regisaur Alpha has all of its effects along with being 4/4. Okay. Now here's the thing. They are individual permanents. Okay. Tarenko does not get haste. Regisaur does not get flying, and they don't share their damage either. It's still Regisaur is independently 4/4, and Tarenko is independently 2/2. Okay, and the way and what happens is this. All right, you need to have a legal blocker. This is the thing that people don't explain very clearly, especially on YouTube. You need to have a legal blocker. All right. If your creatures, if there is a legal blocker, and you block 1 creature, all you need is 1 creature that you can legally block. Both creatures will get blocked. So in this instance here, Regisaur Alpha does not have flying. because it's not a sliver. This is not a sliver. This is not a sliver. So they're not sharing flying. He can't fly. The Griffin can fly. However, I cannot block Wandering Ones. Say that Wandering Ones is gonna block the Griffin because the Griffin has flying. However, the reason why it can block the whole group is because of the Regisaur Alpha. Regisaur Alpha does not have flying, so therefore these two can block, and the whole entire band is blocked. If that makes sense, okay. But here's the thing that you have to understand: they are all attacking in a group. That's the one thing that tends to throw people off, because some people, some illustrations tend to line up like this, but you're not really lining up. You're lining up like that. You're blocking the whole entire band, and the only reason why the band is blocked is because there's a legal block, which is the Regisaur Alpha. So the legal block happens, and so we have 1 damage and 1 damage. Okay, so that's 2 damage coming this way to my creatures. My opponent doesn't get to assign where the damage goes. So my opponent can't decide that this 1 and 1, which is 2 damage, can go to the Griffin to kill it because it's got 2 power. I get to decide where the 2 damage goes. So I decided to take both of these 2 damage and apply it to the Regisaur Alpha, which is a 4/4 creature. So now Regisaur Alpha is a 4/2 creature, and my Griffin lives. So what happens is that the 4 damage that the Regisaur Alpha has and the 2 damage that the Griffin has, Teremco Griffin has, will be applied to both creatures because I can assign the damage. So I will assign the 4 damage to the Wandering Ones, the 2 damage to the Furnace Spirit. These 2 dies. My creatures live. So that's how the whole thing works. That's how the whole thing works in that regard. So let's say we have defense. Okay, let me switch the creature out and let me bring in something big, like real big. Okay, let me bring something nice and big in this instance here. All right, so we'll bring in Ryusei the Falling Star. Alright, Ryusei the Falling Star is a 5/5 flying dragon. And when it's put into a graveyard, from play, it deals 5 damage to each creature without flying. Alright, so my opponent decides to swing to attack. You know what? Hold on a second. Don't I have a trampler? Let me find a trampler. Actually, I'll grab it from here because this is the best way. Because technically speaking, no, it's correct. Here, so it's attack. So I decided that I'm gonna block with these 2. Now this is a normal blocking assignment. This is not a band. This is a normal blocking assignment. All right. That's what makes the asymmetrical very confusing. This is not a full on band formed here because you don't form a band on defense. This is a full on block. Okay. Now normally my opponent would decide and say, well, I'm gonna my opponent normally would decide how he would spread the damage. Instead, I get to decide where the damage goes on my creatures. Yeah, because I get to assign the damage. So in this instance here, instead of the, so my opponent would be like, I could destroy your Regisaur Alpha, or he could choose to destroy the Griffin. This is not good. Let me get rid of the flyer. I'm sorry about that. It just hit me in the head. He's a flyer. Let me find something better. Okay, here we go. He's not a flyer. Kaima the Fractured Calm. Sorry about that. So here's it's a 3/3, and he has the ability to goad. So these 2 are blocking. Okay. Now the 3/3 can go to the Griffin, effectively killing it. But I don't have to let that happen. Instead, I'll say I'm going to take the 3 damage and put it on. I get to decide that the 3 damage goes to the Regisaur Alpha. There we go. Because I get to decide where damage is assigned instead of my opponent. There we are. That's the way to do it. So that's pretty much how that works on defense. So and in the process, Kaim will get killed off by both creatures. So that's how it works in a band. But if this were to happen separately, let's say, here we go. Myojin of Blooming Dawn, 4/6. So let's say they both attack, right? They're of course separate. So instead, what happens is I assign 2 creatures, one to block the other. So because Teremko Griffin has banding, I can actually send all 3 damage right to him. Whereas my opponent will deliver the 4 damage to the Regisaur Alpha. I can't stop my opponent from assigning his damage. So let's say these 2 creatures block, right? These 2 creatures block separately, just like this. And let me find a trampler. Let me get a trampler out. Let me get myself a trample. Here's a trampler. We'll just use the Earthshaker Dreadmaw for trample. All right. So let's say that these 2 creatures attack, right? We got the Myojin and we got the Earthshaker Dreadmaw. The Earthshaker Dreadmaw has trample. So I decided to block with my creature with banding, my only creature with banding. And I decided to block Myojin with 2 creatures. With 2 creatures. So in this instance here, because the Griffin has banding, I get to decide how much, where those 6 damage that the Earthshaker Dreadmaw gets to do. While over here with this group, my opponent gets to decide where his 4 damage gets to go on to my creatures. So in every sense of the word, even though the Earthshaker Dreadmaw is going to survive, I will take all 6 of that damage and put it entirely on the Griffin, and the Griffin will die, and no trample damage will go through and hit me because I took all the damage for banding and put it onto the Griffin. However, because my opponent could control Myojin and assign the damage that Myojin gets to do, he decided to get rid of the Regisaur, and he kills off the Regisaur. So in turn, I was able to prevent damage, and in turn I was able to kill off my opponent's Myojin with all of my damage. But I lost 2 creatures in the process, but I was able to prevent all the damage. I prevented all the damage in the process. And now we're down to 1 creature each. So that's how that scenario works out. Hope I'm doing a good job here. I'm probably not. It's alright. It's alright if I'm not doing a good job. Because we all can agree banning is a great effect, but the execution is very, very, very poor. But yeah, that's what happens with but that's how the damage gets assigned and everything with banding. So why is it that I have Enrage? How does that one work? Well, here's how Enrage works with banding. So let's bring back the Griffin, and let's get my enraging dinosaur, because it's enraged and it's mad. So let's say Needletooth Raptor. Here we go. Needletooth Raptor. Okay. They're going to go on offense. So once again, here are the Wandering Ones and the Furnace Spirit. Both of them 1/1 creatures, right? Okay. So, because these 2 ended up in the band, okay, they're attacking. So here they are attacking as a band. My opponent decides to block with both creatures. My opponent's intent is to kill off one of my attacking creatures. One of my attacking creatures, which would probably most likely be Enrage. Okay, so the whole band got blocked because the needle-toothed raptor doesn't have flying or any other evasion ability. I'll get to that. So now these two 1/1 creatures are going to do 2 damage to one of these 2 creatures. But because it's a band, I get to assign the damage instead of my opponent. So my opponent doesn't get to slap 2 damage on one of these creatures. I instead take that 2 damage, split it into one, and put it on the griffin and the needle-toothed raptor, reducing them to 2/1, 2/1. Now, because that 1 damage was dealt to my needle-toothed raptor, Enrage says, whenever needle-toothed raptor is dealt damage, it deals 5 damage to target creature an opponent controls. So let's say for example, my opponent had Kenrith. Here's Kenrith, a 5/5 creature, and it was just sitting over here in the corner, not attacking or anything. But let's just say he's right here in the corner. All right, he's not attacking. So needle-toothed raptor will do 5 damage to Kenrith on effect, because needle-toothed raptor took 1 damage that I assigned to it from being in the band. Meanwhile, my band that are attacking, I get to assign their damage onto my opponent's creatures. The two power and on the raptor and the 2/1 on the griffin. I decided to put 2 on the wandering ones and 2 on the furnace spirit. So now all 3 of these creatures got wiped out. Kenrith from taking 5 damage from the enrage, and the furnace spirit and the wandering ones from taking normal damage. And so now I wiped my opponent's creatures out. My opponent lost all their creatures. And sure, they're not going to do any damage to my opponent, but the fact that I got rid of my opponent's creatures, thanks to this banding and enrage combo, made things nice and easy. The end. And it could be done in the opposite way too. If it was on defense, and my opponent decided to attack with the wandering ones, and here's Kenrith, and I decided that I'm going to block. Right? So I decided to block. I can only block 1 creature at a time, right? Yeah. So here we go. So with regards to blocking, the blocking rules don't really change much because you can't form a band, but they can block together. So if I really wanted to, let's say, let me get someone bigger. Here we go. So let's say it's Myojin of Blooming Dawn, a 4/6 creature, right? And I got the block going on here. It's just this 1 creature. All right. Here we go. It's just this 1 creature. Then what I can do is, since I'm blocking this creature, I get to assign the damage because these 2 are blocking together, and banding lets me move the damage with the creatures on it. So what I do is I take the 4 damage, right? And I'll put 3 of the 4 damage onto my griffin, which will kill it. And I'm going to take the 1 damage, that 1 remaining damage on Myojin, and put it on the raptor. And so since the raptor is going to survive that 1 damage and be a 2/1 creature, its effect kicks in. That'll deal 5 damage, and it will kill off Kenrith, who has 5 toughness. So this is gone, and I lose my griffin. The Myojin survives because it's got 6 toughness, and it's going to take 4, so it's going to be down to 2. So it gets to live another day, but so does my needle-toothed raptor. It gets to live another day because I got to redistribute my opponent's damage. I got to assign the damage instead of my opponent. So there we go. So that's some of the shenanigans that goes on with it. So let me grab this 1 creature here. All right, because we're gonna make because now we just need to clarify evasion abilities, just to make sure that's clarifying. All right, let's see. Where is it? Where's that dinosaur? I got the perfect dinosaur for this situation. And he's at the bottom. Oh, here he is. Okay. So we have here the rampaging Ceratops. It says here, rampaging Ceratops can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Alright? And Teremko says that he has banding and flying. So what happens is that I tap them and I form the band with these two. Alright? So here's the $1,000,000 question. Can Myojin block them? The answer is no. Because they both have evasion ability and effects. Rampaging Ceratops says that it cannot be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Myojin is only 1, so he can't block that because he's 1 character. And the Griffin has flying, so he can't block that because he does not have flying. So both of these creatures are going to bowl right through and completely hit my opponent for 7 damage. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. But if my opponent were to have 3 creatures, so here is Furnace Spirit and Wandering Ones. Neither of them have flying, alright? But because I blocked with all 3 creatures, the Griffin is also blocked in the ban. Because the requirement was met to have 3 or more creatures to block the Rampaging Ceratops. And that's it. Now I get to distribute all the damage however I want. And it's pretty devastating because Myojin has 4 damage. Alright. So, let's say I got the... let's say these two are attacking. Okay. Is there another way to block them? Yes, there actually is. Here's Yosei, the Morning Star. Yosei the Morning Star has flying. So because he has flying, he can block the Griffin. So if he could block the band because it has flying, the Griffin has flying. So because these two are flyers and they can block, the Rampaging Ceratops is also blocked. It doesn't matter that it has that requires 3 or more creatures. You have flying and there's a flyer in the band and you're blocking that flyer. And so the Rampaging Ceratops is basically looking to help out. It's blocked as well. So there we go. I did the best I could. I did the best I could, trying to demonstrate how this works. But I do agree, however, that banding shouldn't come back, but not for the reasons everybody, most people are saying, because it's janked or terrible effect. The reason why I don't want to see banding come back is because I believe it's way too powerful to take a portion of gameplay away from your opponent. In this case here, damage assignment. Damage assignment is something that all players should be able to do. And to have the ability to take that away from an opponent, to me, is very bad. It's very bad. It's very broken. And even though banding in and of itself is balanced by its jank rules, if it ever got refined or perfected in a manner that makes sense and overcomes the rule shenanigans between the effect interactions and everything, it will be so powerful. It's not going to be fun. So that's why that's the reason why I wouldn't want to see it come back. Not because it's some hipster jank stuff going on, as some YouTubers proclaimed it to be. It's because taking a gameplay away from your opponent on a consistent level is extraordinarily powerful. And I'm glad that they stopped it when they did, because the fact that that with this deck here, that I can rest my opponent's ability to assign damage, which is supposed to be their right to do in gameplay, and slap it on a creature that activates Enrage and can do things like deal 5 damage to a creature and effectively killing it. That's way too much. That's way too much. So, how did banding end up getting all screwy and everybody couldn't figure out what the heck is going on? Well, I was able to find, like I said, I tried to find my 5th edition book, but it's packed away for a move. But I went online and I was able to find this. This is the 4th edition rule book. And we're going to look at how this was worded back in 4th edition compared to how it's worded now um, compared to how it is worded now. Benelish hero. Here we go. Jeez. Here we go. And this way, so we can understand this a little better. This is the current wording, today's wording of banding, as per Magic's Oracle. Any creatures with banding and up to one without can attack in a band. Bands are blocked as a group. If any creatures with banding control are blocking or being blocked by a creature, you divide that creature's combat damage, not its controller, among any of the creatures it's being blocked by or is blocking. So it's a big word salad, most definitely, and it's definitely a Yu-Gi-Oh! Wall of text there. So, how did 4th edition word that back then? So let's scroll through this, which is pretty cool. Page 32, creature special abilities: regeneration, first strike, trample, flying, banding, protection, inflatable creatures, rampage. Oh, remember rampage? I only have one card that does rampage. So this is very interesting seeing the 4th edition book. I've never seen a 4th edition. Like I said, I came in on 5th edition, so I've only seen the 5th edition book, and even that was very confusing, the way it was explained. But yeah, basic spell casting, the phases of a turn, untap, upkeep, main. Main in any order: play one land, make one attack, cast spells, which is interesting. As you noticed, there was no second main phase. That happened in 6th edition. Then it's guard and heal creatures and clear temporary effects. That was post. Post turn. Very interesting. Very interesting. And then they give you a whole breakdown of how sample game works for you to work with. This is a lot just to explain how a game is played. It's very fascinating to see. Nowadays, it just shows you the turn phases. These days, the rules, but we're almost to look at this here. Creature combat, declare attackers, declare defenders, resolve damage. Sample game continued. That's how many pages. That's how many pages you had to go through for sample pages. Did I just hear something odd? Hold on. Nah, sorry. I heard a weird ping. Interesting. Advanced spell casting. Yeah, advanced spell casting. Here we are. So, and then enchantments. Then here's creature special abilities. Let's find banding. Here we go. And yeah, look how long this is. Banding. This is all explaining banding. Oh my gosh, this went 3 pages. This went 3 pages. So, banding. Creatures with the ability banding may choose to join forces with other creatures during an attack or defense. You can form a band of attacking creatures out of any number of creatures that have banding. You can even include one creature that doesn't have banding. You must declare which creatures you want to band when you declare your attack. Attacking bands can't form or disband after your opponent declares defense. So, you had total control during the declare attacker step. When your banded group of creatures attacks, your opponent's creatures have to block this band as one or let it through as one. If a defending creature blocks any of the banded creatures, then it blocks them all, which is where the throw-off comes in, because it's not accounting for effects like flying. Any damage this defending creature deals gets distributed among the creatures in your attacking band as you desire. Banding doesn't allow creatures in the band to share other special abilities. So that even was made very clearly in the rule book, that you cannot that they don't share abilities and such. So right off the get-go, they had that already established. But that's a lot of word salad compared to today that says any creatures with banding and up to one without can attack in a band. Bands are blocked as a group. If any creatures with banding control are blocking or being blocked by a creature, you divide that creature's damage, combat damage, not its controller, among any of the creatures it's being blocked or by or is blocking. They took this whole entire paragraph and it still stayed a paragraph. They just removed the word salad. So then all of a sudden, and they were so self-aware of it. Look at what they followed up with. Did you catch all that? Even they understood that that banding was jank back then. So basically they've reduced this to a quiz thing. Here's a quiz to find out. You have a Benelish hero 1/1 banding, a Mesa Pegasus 1/1 flying banding, and a War Mammoth 3/3 trample. You want to attack with these three creatures. Can you band them? For your answer, read the first sentence in the above paragraph. This did not help one bit. No wonder everybody was confused and screaming how much this thing stings. This is such a poor way to go about banding. Not even sure why that was even leaned in hard for so many sets, going all the way up into Tempest. For your answer, read the first sentence in the above paragraph. You can form an attacking band out of any number of banders plus up to one non-bander. So the hero Pegasus and Mammoth can block. Yeah, this seems to make a little bit. I guess this seems plus up to one. That should have been in there. Plus up to one. Oh yeah. Up to one without. Yeah, they do have that in there. Sorry. Then quiz part 2. Can a creature without flying block this band? For your answer, remember that banding doesn't allow creatures to share other special abilities. The Pegasus still flies, but the hero and the Mammoth can't. Also, if one of them is blocked, then the whole band is blocked. So a non-flyer could block the hero or the Mammoth and thereby block this band. So it's already made very clear that the whole band is blocked, even though Pegasus flies. Quiz part 3. Would the band trample? No, since banding creatures don't share abilities, the Mammoth, however, would still trample. So again, more that's causing more confusion with everybody. But it is asking the question: would the band trample? As in, will the creatures that are with all the creatures in the band trample? And the answer is no. They don't share special abilities. The Mammoth, however, would still trample. So in a sense, if you wanted to, you can isolate the Mammoth's trample damage if you have the right type of if the right block is going on, and he could deliver all the damage. When you assign your damage, I think you gotta. I think he still has to deal 1 damage though. You gotta in order to get the trample to activate. We'll deal with that later. Quiz part 4. If your opponent blocks the band with a 2/2 creature, how much trample damage gets through? Now's the time to dig out that sentence about trampling, the one that didn't make sense earlier. Trample damage is always assigned last. So if the hero Pegasus Mammoth band gets blocked by a 2/2 creature, the damage from the hero and the Pegasus kills the defending creature, and all 3 points of the Mammoth's trample damage carry over to your opponent. So I was right. Sorry, I was right. I completely threw myself off. So yes, you can assign all the damage from 2 of your non-trampling creatures, and then your trampling creature can deliver all of its damage. So the 6/6 Earthshaker Dreadmaw, if I were to pair it up with a pair of banding creatures, I can have all the banding creatures assign their damage to the blocking creature to kill it, and my 6/6 Dreadmaw would deliver all of its 6 damage through, which is crazy. But don't worry, we're gonna look at the rules companion for current rulings. Quiz part 5. If that 2/2 creature blocks your band, as described above, how many of your creatures die? The answer is up to you. Since you're the band's controller, you get to assign the damage among all the creatures in the band. You probably want to assign both points of damage to the mammoth. That way, all your creatures survive. Part 6. Quiz part 6. If your opponent blocks the band with a 4/4 creature instead, how many of your creatures die? Again, the answer is up to you. Most likely, you'll want to assign all 4 points to the hero, keeping the Pegasus and Mammoth alive. Yes, you can do that. When we say you can distribute damage however you like, we really do mean however you like, so long as all the damage ends up hitting one or more of the creatures in your band. Banding works a little differently when you're defending. So here's the defending part. In the sample game, Kesha blocked Brett's Minotaur with 2 bears. Brett then got to decide how the Minotaur's damage would be distributed between the bears. If one of the bears had banding, that's a typo there. If one of the bears had banding, however, Kesha would have gone to distribute the damage. So what happens when 2 creatures are banding block with each other? You just reverse roles. The defending creature gets to decide how your damage goes, and you get to decide your opponent's damage goes. You're just flipping roles, basically. It's inverted. You know what I'm saying? No different than the normal way. You just invert the assignment damage. Even if one creature in the defending group has banding, they shouldn't have even brought this one up until later. That needed to be explained. Even if one creature in the defending group has banding, then the controller of the group gets to decide how the attacker's damage gets distributed. For example, you can block one really big attacker with 4 creatures. If even one of your defenders has banding, you get to decide how the attacking creature's damage gets assigned. Remember, though, that only creatures that could legally block the attacking creature on their own can band together to block the attacker. So, let's repeat that again. If even one creature in the defending group has banding, then the controller of the group gets to decide how the attacker's damage gets distributed. So, for example, you can block one really big attacker with 4 creatures. If even one of your defenders has banding, you get to decide how the attacking creature's damage gets assigned to your blocking creatures. See, they didn't add that to the sentence there. To your 4 blocking creatures. Remember, though, that only creatures that could legally block the attacking creature can, on their own, can band together to block the attacker. So I kind of did it wrong when I put in the flyer. When I banded the flyer with yeah. So again, legal blocks. See, they keep emphasizing the word legal blocks. So, you know, if you have a flyer, you can block with a flyer. But if you have 2 flyers, then you better have a flyer to block. This damage sharing ability only applies to damage taken in combat. Other damage like that from a lightning bolt still hits only the creature it targets. So yeah, this is something that took 3 pages to thoroughly explain how banding works. What the heck is inflatable? Some creatures have an activation clause that lets you increase their power and or toughness. Frozen Shade had 0/1 with ability +1/+1, so that's inflatable. So that's what they mean by inflatable. That's before we discovered the word buff and debuff. That's hilarious. But yeah, it took 3 pages, so it's 100% understandable why people don't like banding. It took a lot to explain every single 6 different scenarios, and then explain 1 scenario with defending. 6 scenarios when attacking and 1 scenario when blocking. So it's totally understandable why people can't stand that. Because of all the shenanigans. So what is today's rules? This is as of, I assume, Fallout. This has been updated for the Fallout set. Banding. 702.22, banding. So, banding is a static ability that modifies the rules for combat. B, bands with other is a special form of banding. If an effect causes a permanent to lose banding, the permanent loses all bands with other abilities as well. C, as a player declares attackers, they may declare that 1 or more attacking creatures with banding and up to 1 attacking creature without banding, even if it has band with others, are all in a band. They may also declare that 1 or more attacking quality creatures with bands with other quality, and any number of... Yeah, this is covering the band with others. which is which I kind of get, but it's such a stupid thing they came up with, quite honestly. So, creatures are all in the band. A player may declare as many attacking bands as they want, but each creature may be a member of only one of them. Defending players can't declare bans, but may use banding in a different way. See Rule 702.22J. D. All creatures in the attacking band must attack the same player or planeswalker. E. Once an attacking ban has been announced, where are we at? Once an attacking ban has been announced, it lasts for the rest of combat, even if something later removes banding or bans with others from one or more of the creatures in the ban. So, yeah, you don't get rid of banding if you lightning bolt a creature. It ends once the combat phase ends. F. An attacking creature that's removed from combat is also removed from the band it was in. G. Banding doesn't cause attacking creatures to share abilities, nor does it remove any abilities. The attacking creatures in a band are separate permanents, so that still remains to this day from 4th edition, at the very least, at least 4th edition. H. If an attacking creature becomes blocked by a creature, each other creature in the same band as the attacking creature becomes blocked by the same blocking creature. Woo! Word salad. If an attacking creature becomes blocked by a creature, each other creature in the same band as the attacking creature becomes blocked by that same blocking creature. And this here, I would say, is the best example given compared to the example in 4th edition right here. Because this answers a lot of the questions you may have. Example, a player attacks with a band consisting of a creature with flying and a creature with swamp walk. Swamp walk and flying are evasion abilities. Flying creatures can only be blocked by creatures with flying. Creatures cannot be blocked if an opponent controls a swamp. Hey, welcome Shy Guys Entertainment. Thank you for the raid. Welcome to the show. Welcome. So, continuing on with banding. We are covering banding right now. We're deep diving into the whole thing. So, flying can only is an evasion ability where flying creature can only be blocked by creatures with flying. Creatures with swamp walk cannot be blocked if your opponent has a swamp, controls a swamp. So the defending player who controls a swamp can block the flying creature if able. Right. Welcome to the show. Doing a deep dive on banding and Magic the Gathering. Thanks again for the raid. So let's reread this. All right. The player attacks with a band consisting of a creature with flying and a creature with swamp walk. The defending player who controls a swamp can block the flying creature if able. If they do, then the creature with swamp walk will also become blocked by the blocking creature. This is by far the best example for all players that answers the question, especially regarding evasion abilities. So, flying. The way flying works is if you block a creature with a creature can only be blocked by a creature with flying. So 2 flying creatures can block each other, but a creature with flying can block a creature without flying. But when it comes to offense, only a creature with flying can block an attacking flying creature. Swamp walk. Your swamp walking creature cannot be blocked unless cannot be blocked if your opponent. As long as your opponent controls the swamp. So if your opponent controls the swamp, your creature with swamp walk will never be blocked. So what it's saying here is that the defending player who controls the swamp can only block the flying creature if he has a flying creature. So if you have, you'll say the Morning Star, which is a flying creature. You can block your opponent's flying creature, and the swamp walking creature in the band is also blocked. But if you have, say, Wandering Ones, which does not have flying, it cannot block the swamp walking creature because you have a swamp on your side, and your opponent's swamp walking creature is unblockable along with the flying creature. Hey, thanks for the follow, Chosen Shinobi X. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Coqui-san. So, that's basically, this is the perfect example of explaining how to deal with banding when evasion is involved here. If they do, then the creature was, if they do block the creature with flying, then the creature with swamp walk will also become blocked by the blocking creatures. So that's how blocking evasion works. You have to have legal assignments. So if you have a flying creature and your opponent is coming in with a Mesa Pegasus, which is banding and flying, and is throwing in a Swamp Walk creature, if you have a creature with flying, you can block the band because you're blocking the Mesa Pegasus, and the Swamp Walker can't do a single thing about it. It is blocked for good. Or if you have a creature with, or if you're blocking, if it's a creature with menace, along with a flying creature, if you block the flying creature, then the creature with menace is also blocked. Or if you have two creatures without flying that can block the creature with menace, the flying creature will be blocked in the band as well. So as long as you have the legal blocks, you will succeed in the block. Jay, what's this here? 702.22i. If one member of a band would become blocked due to an effect, the entire band becomes blocked. So there are cards that have specialized blocking capabilities. So if your opponent activates an effect that can block the band, then yeah, your whole band is blocked completely. Jay, during the combat damage step, if an attacking creature is blocked by a creature with a banding, or by both a quality creature with bands with others and another quality creature, the defending player, rather than the active player, chooses how the attacking creature's damage is assigned. That player can divide that creature's combat damage as they choose among any creatures blocking it. This is an exception to the procedure described in Rule 510.1c. So, let's see, it's being blocked by a creature with banding. So, yeah, in this instance here, again, this is when you're on defense, if you have a banding creature and you have other creatures blocking along with it, you get to decide how the damage is distributed, not your opponent. K, during the combat damage step, if a blocking creature is blocking a creature with banding, right? If a blocking creature is blocking a creature with banding, or both a quality creature with bands with others, and another quality with other quality and another quality creature, the active player rather than the defending player chooses how the blocking creature's damage is assigned. That player can divide that creature's combat damage as they choose among any creatures is blocking. This is an exception to the procedure described in Rule 510.1d. So again, this is the result. Hey, welcome, Clockwork Ghosty. So again, this is the benefit of banding, where the player who controls banding gets to decide and assign your opponent's damage rather than your opponent themselves. No matter how much your opponent thrashes about and everything, you get to assign the damage, not your opponent. And 702.22m says multiple instances of banding on the same creature are redundant. Multiple instances of band with others of the same kind on the same creature are redundant. So it's not a replacement. If you use an effect that let's say formation, which gives target player banding, if you put on a creature with banding, you're not getting double banding. It's just going to stay banding. There's no replacement. So yeah, these are the current rulings today compared to 4th edition in the 4th edition rulebook, which for all intents and purposes, they put rulings on here to deal with banding, and that says a lot about banding as an issue here, going across 3 pages. And even now, they condensed as much as they could condense it. It goes for like to a whole page here. They condensed 3 pages down to 1 page. So, yeah, I understand why people don't like banding. because there's a whole lot to deal with, a whole lot, and it's understandable, especially with the way Fourth Edition handled it. I can't even imagine how Alpha explained it, but ultimately, in the end, it's a very, very, very powerful effect because you are taking away a game mechanic from your opponent. And a mechanic that your opponent is entitled to, and that is assigning damage. And unlike most people who say, I don't want to see banning because it's so confusing and jank, I don't want to see banning because it takes away your opponent's ability to make their play, which is assigning damage, whether they're blocking or attacking, and taking that away from opponent. Any type of effect, ability, card that takes away your opponent's ability to play, to make gameplay, is a bad to me is a bad card and something that should go away. And I have come across a card where I think it's an artifact. I forgot the name of it. Yo, Chosen Shinobi X, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. How you say? The thing about yeah. What it says is that when you play the artifact, you can actually look at your opponent's hand, and you get to cast your opponent's spells from their hand directly, and you get to decide how they tap their mana and everything. And to me, that's a bad card. Any card that does that to your opponent, where you take away their ability to play a game, is bad. So yeah, as much as I like banding, and I think it's a very fun and cool ability, I don't want to see it back because of that. Not because because of how Fourth Edition and presented it and everything. So yeah, if you want to try out banding, go right on ahead. The compendium really does clarify, at least with regards to evasion, how blocking works. Don't read the Fourth Edition. It's word salad at this point. But there's plenty of videos out there that do explain it very well. They're just missing a few little caveats to the whole thing. But ultimately, in the end, this is the final ruling of banning. Clearly, unless Mark Rosewater and his team finds a way to straighten it all out. Let's get into the analytics of my Pantlaza deck. Alright. So let's bring up here. Here's Pantlaza, Sun Favored. This is my commander. I hope you enjoyed that deep dive into banding. Pantlaza. So what he does is, whenever Pantlaza, Sun Favored, or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may discover X, where X is that creature's toughness. Do this only once each turn. Discover. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card with that mana value or less. Cast it without paying its mana cost, or put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is a different variation of Cascade, which will allow you to fetch cards out of your deck faster. And basically, this whole entire deck revolves around Enrage and banding. Let me find my banding creature. It's a little mixed up, but here's a banding creature. Okay, so the whole entire focus of this deck is banding and Enrage. So what it is that, as I've demonstrated, whenever I attack with a band, in this case the band would be the creature with Enraging and the creature with banding, I get to distribute and assign the damage that my opponent deals to my creatures. So what I would do is, as I've said in the example, if two 1/1 creatures attack, instead of my opponent deciding to put all the 2 damage to one of my creatures to kill it off, I get to split the damage 1 and 1. And I'll put the 1 damage on my Needletooth Raptor and 1 damage on my Keldon, my Keldron Sky Captain. And what'll happen is that the 1 damage that Enrage gives me, which is whenever Needle Tooth Raptor is dealt damage, it deals 5 damage to target creature an opponent controls. I get to do 5 damage to my opponent's creature. And then my 2 creatures will do all the damage to the creature that is blocked, and my creatures get to live because I distributed the 1 damage. So there you go. That's the whole objective of this. And what of course saddens me is that I have a lot of excellent dinosaurs, but because I needed a lot of enraging dinosaurs, they kind of pushed aside so many good dinosaurs. So I tried my best getting as good of dinosaurs as possible, like rampaging Ceratops, to be able to really maximize. Basically, trying to get creatures with trample or evasion, like Menace, to complement the enraging dinosaurs. Among the cards that I got, that I have in this deck, is most definitely cards that provide banding. Lots of banding. Hey, Shy Guy, welcome. Thank you for the raid again. Covering banding. I just did a whole deep dive. You could check out. And now I'm doing some analytics on my Pantlaza deck, which is enraging bands. They are full of rage. Let's see here. What was I looking for? Oh yes, I was looking for these cards here. No, not the Cajun Towns. Let's see here. Let me put pants here. This is pants. This is pants. I call them pants when because this is such a jank deck, janky style deck with janky enrage and janky banding. I swing at my opponents and they get pantsed by Pantlaza because his name is Pantlaza. So get pantsed. So among cards to help me out with banding, I have Formation. This is a homeland Ice Age card. Instant. Target creature gains banding until end of turn. Draw a card at the beginning of your next turn's upkeep. It's one mana and a white to play. Another one that I got to help out is Nature's Blessing, and this one comes from Alliances. These are very, very old cards, of course. Nature's Blessing, 2 mana, a white and a green to cast. Enchantment. For 1 white, a green, and then I choose and discard a card as the cost from my hand. Target creature gains banding, first strike, or trample, or gets a +1/+1 counter. This effect is permanent. That means that once I put a banding counter on my creature, it stays on banding. It does not go away until end of turn. They get banding for the rest of the game. Same for first strike, trampling, or +1/+1 counter. These are all counters, basically. And it's very, very powerful because if I slap it on any of my dinosaurs, I get more banding creatures to work with. And it gets more and more scarier, especially if I use pants. Another one that I'm using to help bolster banding, give creatures banding, is the Helm of Chasuk. 1 mana. That's all it costs to cast. For 1 mana and a tap, target creature gains banding until end of turn. Very cheap, very fast. Give my non-banding creatures banding, which is very, very scary, very, very horrifying. And another one that's pretty good is the Baton of Morale for 2 mana to cast. For 2 mana to play, and what's great about it is that I could play cast 2 mana as many times as I want, which is way better than the Chasuk. Target creature gains banding until end of turn. So if I have 4 mana, I could give 2 of my creatures banding until end of turn, as opposed to Helmut Chasuk, which I can only get to give to 1 creature. So that's is that all of it? Yeah, that's all of my support cards that give banding, that can grant banding. And it's a pretty frightening thing, because if I pair it up with Pantlaza, um, or any of these other creatures, giving them banding, like for example, Zatalpa Primal Dawn, which is flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. I give it banding. I give that banding. Yeah, you're looking at a 4/8 creature. That's going to be very hard to block in any manner of speaking, unless you have a flyer. Let's see here. Or if I say give rampaging Brontodon banding. So yeah, I could give a lot of my dinosaurs banding, but the whole entire yeah, because if say I can't get any of my banding creatures out, you know what I'm saying? I could give Ripscale Predator, which has Menace, banding, and then I could have them banned with the Rampaging Ceratops, which has Menacer, which has menacing, in which it can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. So you have a menace and a menacing pair of creatures banded together coming at you, and if you don't have the right number of creatures to pull off the block on either of the two, you're gonna get hit for 11 damage because of the band. Or even better, I can always give this banding and then pair it up with an enraging creature, and redistribute the damage onto my enraging creature, and yeah, it's just jank fun here. So one of the major issues that I'm having with this deck is that as much as it works very well, the creatures are coming out slow. They're very, very, very slow. And this is where we're going to need to figure out what's going on here and what I need to do to speed this up. So that way I could get the creatures out a little faster. Because Pants can only do so much. Pants can only do so much with his effect, even if I get it out. So, let's go to the analytics chart. All right, so here we are currently. Let's get this updated and see what we're dealing with here. All right, let's center that out. Here we go. All right. So let's start with the number of lands. How many lands do I have now? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So I got 35 lands, which is standard, 35 to 36. So that's good. Creatures. How many creatures do I have now? Because I had been shuffling the creatures around, and that includes Pants. Okay, so let's see here. Got some nasty dinosaurs in here. Yeah, I did the best I could to round up like the most powerful dinosaurs imaginable. But also, with regards to creatures with banding, I tried to avoid putting in creatures that are 1 power, 1 toughness, and spot up creatures with 2 or higher toughness. So that way they can live when I redistribute it. I also added in another creature type, the Endcores, another extraordinarily powerful group of creatures, and they only came out in the Weatherlight block. Yeah, Stronghold, Weatherlight, and they are insanely powerful by comparison to banding to the bands. So let's see here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So, and along with my commander makes it 34. So I got 34 creatures. So that still remains. 34 creatures. Here you go, Pants. Enchantments. How many enchantments do I have here? So let's sort this out. How many do I have now? Because a lot of things, because Nature's Blessing came into the mix, and I've been tweaking left and right. I still kept Tin Market Street. I also included Formation, so there was I missed a creature. Yes, I did miss this creature. I missed the Acadian Phalanx, so that means that I now have 35 creatures instead of 34. How did I miss you? Your old card, that's why I missed you. So now that's an increase of 1. That's an increase of 1, so I have 35 creatures with 35 lands. So here's my enchantments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's a decrease of 1. So I went down from 16 to 15. Sorcery cards. How many sorceries do I have now? Let's see. Alright, the number of sorcery cards are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I still have 5 sorcery cards. Alright. Instants, that's an increase of 1 because Formation is an instant. So I have 2 instants now instead of 1. Okay. And artifacts. Artifacts, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I still have 8 artifacts. I don't have any miscellaneous types like planeswalkers or battle cards. So that's the core of the deck. That's deck distribution. So now let's round up the mana abilities here. So just to let you all know, mana abilities are cards that have the tap ability. They basically have mana speed. Mana speed is the fastest in all of Magic. It's the fastest speed in all of Magic, faster than everything. Tap symbol cards that say add mana is mana speed, and cards like let's see here, not grafted growth. I don't have that. Interesting. I don't have that. Cards like Wild Growth that says whenever you tap a card, you gain mana. In contrast to say Grafted Growth, which grants the ability. Cards like Wild Growth would say when you tap a mana, you gain. When you tap a land, you gain mana. That's mana speed as well, in and of itself. But this, but something like Grafted Growth would not count because it's adding an ability, adding a tap ability. It's not the ability in and of itself. That's what I look for mana ability cards. So with lands, I have how many? I think I got all of them. Let's do the count then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. So I don't have cards like Fezziba or fetch lands like Terramorphic Expanse. So basically all of my lands have mana speed. Creatures, how many creatures do I have that can tap for mana? Which is Mana Dorks. Let's see here. I don't think I have Mana Dorks. Even though I'm playing green. Interesting. Hmm. Alright. Yeah, none of my creatures tap for mana. Okay. Alright, none of them tap for mana. Alright. Next up is the enchantments. Let's see here. Let's see. None of them here. Yeah, none of them. They just only grant the ability to add 2 mana. They don't have the mana speed ability of that. They just only add. Okay. Artifacts, mana rocks. So I got 4. So that didn't change either. So that's good. All right. Well, not good. Maybe bad. Maybe it's bad in the end. So, let's do the mana curve. Let's solve the mana curve here. All right. So, that's 5. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 4. Here we go. Let me slide these down here. Okay. And go 4, 5. Here we go, just so you can see the cards here. This one is a 1, that's a 2, that's a 5. Here is 2, 1, 3. That's a 6. Here's a 3. Here's another 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, 2, 5, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. So it's not bad so far. We got 5. Here's 1, 4, 6, 7, 5, 2. That's a 9. Wow. That's 9. Here's 8, 4. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's another 8. That's a 4. 5, 2. 4, 2, 4, 3, 6, 7, 8, another 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, that's a 5, it's also a 5, there's a 6, another 6, this is a 5, what else here, 6, 7, 8, 9, that goes over there. Oh, here we go. Almost got these mixed up. Here we go. Here's a 2, 3, 3, 4, 7, 2, and 3. There we go. So let's count. Let's get them all together. Oh, I forgot these guys here. Oh no. Oh my. Oh my. Let's see here. How did I forget these two? 2. Here's 3, 3, and 3. And then I got the 6 over here. Over there. Alright, so let's count and see how good the curve is. Because right now, currently, the curve has a little valley, but that's at the tail end of the curve. It's not in the middle, so that's a good thing. So here we go. This is what it looks like. All right. So one mana. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a drop. All right. So that's a drop. There was originally 5. So that's one done. One gone. All right. Mm, let's see. Next up is 2. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's an increase of 1 on the mana curve. All right. 3 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So it's still 18. The count hasn't changed. All right. 4 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that also remains unchanged. 1, this is 5 mana, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get over here. 10. So that also remains unchanged. 6 mana. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 6 mana creatures. 6 mana cards, sorry. So that's unchanged. 7 mana. I have 1 and 2, so that's still the same. 8 mana. 8 mana cards. 1, 2, 3. And 9 mana cards is just 1 and 2. So, alright. So, only a slight change. It was just only a few notches on the mana curve. So, again, the valley remains at the tail end, which is not a big deal. 3 and 2 mana is very consistent for spell casting. Okay, let's do the power meter. Let's see how much power has changed since since the last update. Let's put pants right here so y'all can see that. All right. So here's a 10, 9, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7. Okay. Here's a 3. Here's 3. Let's put the 5 over here. Here's the 4. This is a 6. Another 6. Here's a 2. Here's 4 power, 3 power, 6 power over here. Here's a 2 power, 5, 4. Here's a 2 power. Here's a 4 power, 2 power, 1 power, 2 power, 2 power. This one is a 4 power. Okay, here we go. Here's another 2 power creature. 2 power creature. 1 power. Okay. This one is 2. 2, 3. Here's a 2. Got a lot of 2 creatures now. 2 power creatures. Here's a 1/1 creature. 0, 0 power. 1, 2, and 1. All right. There we go. 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I knocked it by accident. There we go. All right. Here's the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, okay. All right. So I only got 1 creature at 0 power. So that's unchanged. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 creatures with 1 power. That's unchanged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 creatures with 10 power. That's unchanged. 1, 2, 3. Not changed. That's 3 creatures with 3 power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 creatures now with 4 power, so that's an increase of 1. So yeah, the increases have not been dynamic. That's pretty good. Let's see here so far. 1, 2, 3, 5 power creatures. 6 power creatures is 1, 2, 3. That remains unchanged. 7 power creatures, 1 and 2. That's 2, 9 power and 10 power, 1 each. So there we go. So only increase of 1 in the power meter. So nothing drastic has changed. So here's toughness. Let's line up the toughness here. We got 7s. Here's a 5, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 5, 3, and 3. Here's a 4, 4. I got 8. That goes up there. Okay. Here's a 4. Here's 2. We got a 2 power, 2 toughness. 3, 5, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. Ooh, wow! I got a lot of 2s here. 2 powers, 2 toughnesses. This is a 4 toughness. 1 toughness. 2 toughness. Is a 1. This one is a 3 toughness. 1 and another 3 toughness. All right. So let's get a count on that. Then next will be tactical. There we go. So, okay. Here we go. All right. So I have 1 toughness. 1, 2, 3. 3 cards with 1 toughness. That didn't change. 2 toughness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I got 10 creatures with 2 toughness. That's unchanged. Here's 3 toughness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's unchanged. 4 toughness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an increase. Alright, so that increased by 1. Okay. There we go. Next up is 5 toughness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the same. 6 toughness is 1, 2, 2. Yep. Same. 7 toughness is 1 and 2. That remains unchanged. And I should have 1 each of 8, 9, and 10. So there's 1 8, 1 9, and 1 10 toughness. So there we go. All right. So yeah, I got an even number of 3, 4, and 5 toughness creatures. Even number between power and toughness with for 2 twos, creatures with 2 power and creatures with 2 toughness. So very interesting that I don't have a creature with an 8 power on the power meter. So let's do tactical. Resources. These are cards that let me draw from the deck, search inside the deck, recover from the graveyard, or top deck, which is basically scrying, or it tells you to look at the top card of the deck. So let's start here with the creatures. Let's see here. As a battlefield, it fights up to 1 creature. Nope, that's not it. Let's see. Deals damage, destroy target artifact creature. You gain 3 life. Nope. This one has flying, indestructible. Let's see here. This one destroys all creatures. And attacks. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each dinosaur you control. So there's our first draw card, right there. Okay. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal trample, deal combat damage, create an XX dinosaur token with trample. Okay, that's not it. Menace, Polyraptor. This one creates dinosaur tokens. Whenever Ripjaw Raptors dealt damage, draw a card. That goes there. Put a +1/+1 counter on creature you control. This can't be blocked by creatures. Create a dino token. Oh, we're going Armosaur. Create a sapling creature token. Pants. This is a top deck issue. Put that on the side there. Banding. Target creature gets menace. This redirects. This is a search, so that goes over there. Banding. Deals damage to opponent. Another redirect. +1/+1 counters. Redirect with flanking. Damaging creatures. Banding. Another dinosaur gets flying. Redirect. First strike. Banding. Redirect damage. All creatures. Let's see. All creatures that band with skirmishers to attacking first strike. And create a creature token. So let's see. Here's the other cards here. This one destroys. Put that to the side. Gain mana, banding. That's an exile. Put that to the side. Gain mana, gain banding. This one draws a card, so that goes there. Okay. Creatures get buffed. This one lets you draw a card. This one top decks, so that's gonna sit over there. This one adds put a +1 counter on target creature or vehicle. Okay. This one lets you draw a card. Garruk's Uprising. Creature you control get +1/+1. That's destroy. This is a search that goes over there. This is also a search. We'll put that over there. Creature spells you control can't be countered. They have riot. Alright. This one gives you +1/+1 counters. All creatures you control are affected by summoning sickness. Let's see. This one gives you +1/+1 counters. This one gives your creatures +2 in vigilance. Menace. Mana. Let's see. Whenever, that's pump. Buffs. That's a destroy card. Coat of Arms. This one here's one that lets you draw a card. Creatures you control get +3/+3. Next up, here we go. Let's see. We're gonna see if the lands here. Gain 1 life. Add mana to the mana pool. Enter the battlefield. Tap. Nope. Nope. That doesn't do that. Add mana. Creature gains trample. Add mana for the creature. This one gives you 3. Enter the battlefield tapped. Gain 1 life. Myriad Landscape. There's a search card. This one is a scry card, so that's top deck. Nope. Gain life. Alright. So, how many draw cards do I have? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's an increase of 1. So now I have 6 cards that draw. 6 cards that draw. So we're gonna increase that. All right. Cards that search. Cards that search. Last count was 4, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cards that search. Let me double check here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see. Let me just double check. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Because I think I got it all. I think that's it. Yep. Alright. Yeah, all of these are just buffs and redirects. And creature creation, token creating creature tokens. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I only have 4. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. Let me put that over there. Alright, so I only have 4 cards that search. I don't have any cards that recover. I didn't come across any. And I have 1, 2, and 3. I have, for top decking, I have 3 cards that let me top deck. Reveal cards from the top of the deck. So that's going to be an increase of 1. Alright, so that was an increase. So now for removal, basically it's whatever cards go to the graveyard, send cards to the graveyard, to exile, to hand, to deck, and so on. Let's see here. This one destroys artifacts and enchantments. This one destroys all non-land permanents. Destroys all lands, exile, and destroy target artifact. Looks like it's a decrease of 1. I have nothing that destroys the hand and nothing that destroys the deck, huh? Let me double check here and make sure that I didn't miss a card that destroys. So, because then that's a subtraction. That means that I only have 4 cards that can instantly destroy. At least I have 1 board wipe to work with. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like it's a subtraction here. We got 1 subtracted. Yeah, nothing here is instantly destroying a creature. Alright. And nothing here among this group? No. So yeah, that's a subtraction. We're reduced down by 1. Alright. So there we go. The analytics chart is updated. So one of the key issues, like I said, is trying to get the creatures out. And it's not so much the mana issue, it's the card drawing. You know what I'm saying? Adding in 10th Street Market and Groups Uprising helps, but getting these 2 cards out is very difficult. Same with creature cards, like the Earthshaker and Dreadmaw and the Ripjaw Raptor. They're very high costing creatures that can to get out. And not only that, but but the Ripjaw Raptor is dependent on getting enraged in order to deliver the card drawing effect. The searches are fine that I got going, um, which is, what was it again? The card searches, which was, I had two of those. Kodama's Reach was one. Kodama's Reach is one. Who's the other one? What was the other one? An Untamed Wilds. There we go. Not only that, but ranging raptors. Whenever they take damage, I could get a basic land card, but I have to get them enraged to pull it off. And I could search with Myriad Landscape. I can search for two basic land cards that share the same type. So I don't know if that's enough in a deck this big, but I'm not sure. Even if I bring Pants out, it's relying on defense, the toughness number. So that means I have to get creatures out, and creatures are very difficult to get out. So what would I need? I'm trying to figure out what would I need to really ramp up. I mean, 10th Street Market can help out with the card drawing, because I could just tap the enchanted land for a card, but then I gotta discard a card in the process. Um, hmm. Hmm. What I probably will need is not so much more land, but probably more searches. Maybe getting rampant growth. Throw in a rampant growth, maybe. That could probably help out. Um, I might be able to help out. I might have to consider that, just so that way I can at least increase the search to 5 cards, and and I could get a shot at bringing out more mana, especially since I'm playing green. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have a way to squeeze in a mana dork. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have searches like Wild Growth. Kodama's Reach and Untamed Wilds is good, but I should throw in a Rampant Growth at the very least, and I can have and run 3 of those card searches in green. I think that would help out immensely. The creatures I think are fine for now for what this deck does. They're very powerful, they're very strong, but without any way of getting the mana out, I can't get them out fast. So I think that's what I'll need. Because I do have means of drawing cards. I got I got 6 cards that can draw, and that's not bad. I'll leave that alone. I think what I should do is maybe consider dropping one of the top deck cards and fit in the rampant growth. Maybe I should try to also find something. Maybe one more board wipe, probably. Something a little bit more heavier. Maybe a Nevinerial's Disc. I still have one on to spare, but I do have white. So if I could find a Wrath of God, maybe I'll just go straight for that. Just a basic Wrath of God, so I can have a creature wipe at the very least. Um, so maybe it's just just 2 of those cards. Just get one more board wipe and a rampant growth, and I think that should be able to do it. And I shouldn't have any trouble getting things out. I think that's the best way to go. Maybe cut down the number of creatures. Maybe I could drop a creature. Maybe one of the 8 power creatures. Or maybe, well, I'll have to see which creature I probably want to drop. But maybe I should drop the number of creatures to 34, because I already have means of finding creatures and building creatures up and such. And I won't be needing much even as well in the way of number of creatures once I start running the banding. Maybe also throw in one more mana rock, increase that to 5. I should consider doing that as well. So if I do that, get one more mana rock, throw in rampant growth, get one more creature wipe. That's 3 things. I think this deck will be fine. That should give me the resources I need because I'll have 5 search cards, 6 cards I can draw, and increase my creature destruction to 5. I think that will do fine. So I'll have to consider maybe dropping creatures and one more mana rock. So that's probably around 4 or 5 cards I need to do. That sounds about right. So here we go. All right, sounds like a plan. There we go. That is Pantlaza. That is Pantlaza Sun Favored Commander deck. It's all about banding and raging. Pure jank. Pure jank fun. And of course my whole entire deep dive into banding. I really hope that helped you all out. Comment down below whatever your thoughts are on banding and the rules and such. I did the best I could. I mean, look at that 4th edition rule book. It's crazy the way they did that. And that was just 4th edition. I can't imagine Alpha explaining banding, but nevertheless, I really like this deck. I like the concept. It was a heavy sacrifice of some of them, some more excellent dinosaurs that I got. But if I wanted to do I wanted to do this fun little thing to screw around with. You know what I'm saying? Make my opponents be like, ah, jank. So thank you all for joining me. Comment down below. Comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know you want to. And I'll see you all next time. With that said, I wish you all a good night. Buenas noches and oyasumi nasai.